All right, Nick. You think we're done with the admin tab?
Not a chance.
Not a chance. Okay. You're right. We still have one more thing to deal with. So underneath the configuration from the admin tab, we have the timesheet types. Now, just like session types, which are important to get right as they define the billing and what we're charging our clients, really important to get right the timesheet types so that we can pair instructors and administrators correctly. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we add a new timesheet type. Pretty straightforward. We've got a name here that we can, let's call it, say, Master Tutor. And we can put a description here. Well, the relevance of the name is pretty much just what a company is calling this particular timesheet. When an instructor logs it, this is how it's going to show up on their pay report for the hours that they're logging.
Okay, so it's just going to be meaningful to them.
Exactly. All right. So when we looked back on under the people account, and when we looked at instructors and we associated a timesheet type with a particular instructor, it allowed us to associate the timesheet, and then it also allowed us to define what sessions they got that timesheet for. If you haven't watched that video, it might be a good idea to watch that video first. Pause this one, come back to this one. All right, now that you're back, or if you already had watched it, what we can do is define the type of session here for which the instructor receives the master tutor. So again, this means that when the instructor creates a session, posts a session for SAT prep, they receive a master tutor timesheet. Now, if we wanted to create multiple ones, like Fortune Private, so when they do Fortune Private sessions or they do SAT sessions, they receive what kind of session? What kind of timesheet type?
Master Tutor.
Master Tutor. Now we can also define what rate that they get paid. So let's say that they get paid $25 an hour as default. Now this default right here just means that it's a different purpose for default. What this means that if an instructor creates a timesheet that's not associated with a session, remember, the timesheets get created automatically when sessions get created. So the instructor isn't actually manually creating timesheets, but they do have the right to create a timesheet outside of the association, and they might get paid for like making copies or doing something else. When they create that timesheet type, when they create that timesheet, what timesheet type do we want to have populate? This checkbox will populate that. Let me show what that looks like really quickly. Here, under my timesheets, I can add a timesheet. Whatever is going to, if I had that default selected, it would show up here.
As Master Tutor.
As Master Tutor. Gotcha. Okay, so let's go back to admin. Let's go back to configuration and timesheet types. And so, once again, if we have Master Tutor that we're setting up, and we want to associate that with SAT prep, and we also want to associate it with Fortune Private. Now, these two checkboxes here are important because if I have auto assign new instructor, you know what that's going to do, Nick?
You got me.
All right, so auto assign new instructor. What that's going to do is when we create a new instructor in the system, automatically they're going to get this timesheet type Master Tutor, and automatically it's going to be associated with SAT and Fortune Private. So we would do this if we had certain timesheet types that every new instructor is going to get, right?
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah. So same thing we can do for auto assign to new administrator. So if there's certain timesheet types that all administrators receive, check that, and anytime you add a new administrator, they're going to get that timesheet type.
Gotcha.
All right. So default hours just means that this is the number of hours that by default when something's logged, you can leave that blank. You don't have to add that. So that pretty well covers the timesheet types. And that finishes also admin. We're going to have another video that's going to kind of tie up loose ends with some of the other functions in the system. But that's a pretty good overview of the system. If ever you have any questions and need feedback, you feel free to use the feedback report a bug function. All it's going to do is just load up an email for you so that you can email us. We get back to you very quickly. And you can also call for support if you need it as well. I think that's it, Nick.
Sounds good.
Should we tie up some loose ends?
Let's do that.
All right.